One thing you may not know about me is that I'm actually a really huge music theater nerd. And when I went to watch this film, I definitely heard Dead Girl Walking from Heathers playing in the back of my head, which is, a kind of a comedic song. I mean, it's supposed to also be talking about serious matters, but definitely has nothing to do with this film. But now that song is stuck in my head. I didn't even need to listen to it just because I saw Dead Man Walking. Yep, finally saw this movie. It's on Paramount Plus right now, and as Paramount Plus does, they're not offering audio description. Um, I probably didn't really expect it, although this is an Oscar nominee, so I don't know. I feel like there should have been a chance at this, but nope. Sorry, folks. So the question is it watchable? Well, let's talk about it. For anybody who hasn't seen Dead Man Walking before me, first of all, this was like R-rated and came out in 1995, and I was not old enough to see movies yet that were R-rated on my own. So movies like this were chosen for me, and this was one of those things where somebody decided, no, you're too young. I was like, okay, all right. So Susan Sarandon plays a nun who has been contacted by a death row inmate played by Sean Penn. And they have this correspondence, and he, like most people, I guess the joke is always in jail that everybody says that they're innocent, but he says, that there's some things that he's guilty of, but he didn't kill the kids that he's accused of killing. So, she's trying to get him, work with him on any sort of last minute appeal that would stop his execution. One of the things that you find out also is that there were two people that were charged and eventually sent to prison over this, but the other guy is not on death row. The other guy got the deal. The other guy got the good lawyer. So, poor Sean Penn, is the only one of the two that's on death row. So, it's kind of not equal and not fair, if there is fairness in any of this kind of thing. The film explores whether or not, does it matter? If you think he's innocent, is he innocent? Will we ever know if he's innocent? Type of thing. You don't really know for sure. At some point in the film, he takes a lie detector test, but it's not a scene that's presented within the context of the film, so it's something that's referenced offhand. So I think that would have been interesting to see it, but I think that's Tim Robbins was like, well, that misses the point. I think this is more about making a statement about capital punishment than anything else. Sarandon even fights sort of her own, basically, pastors and stuff who have a different view on the Bible than she does. So, basically, everybody is cool with seeing this guy die, except Susan Sarandon. So, she also takes the time to listen to the victims' parents about their experiences, and she just is trying for like a stay of execution to just try to get him granted clemency on that. But she just kind of runs up against brick walls. It's a very somber toned movie. There really isn't any humor within this. It never really tries to be, because there's nothing really to find funny about this. So it's just kind of flat the whole way through. Everybody has different reactions to her, but they all have these reactions, and also she's a nun, so there's only just so angry people really are going to get at a nun. They believe, you know, that she believes that she's there for, you know, obviously religious reasons. She's not just doing this on her own. She's not some person who's fallen in love with him or something like that through pen pals. There are reasons why she's there, and I think even the people who don't like her understand why. They just hate it. So it's an interesting movie, and it's a great performance from Susan Sarandon. I honestly, Sean Penn has had more dynamic performances than this. But it's a good one from him. I'm not going to say it's not. When this movie came out, I can see why we went, oh yeah, Sean Penn's great in this. Because at this point in Sean Penn's career, there were several performances of his that have turned out to be a little bit more iconic that we still hadn't seen yet. This predates Sweet and Lowdown. This predates I Am Sam. This predates Mystic River. This predates Milk. You know, I mean, Sean Penn's been knocking out of the park, and definitely getting better after Dead Man Walking. It's not an overly over-the-top showy performance that he could do. But it sometimes, because of that, he almost feels like it feels like either through Tim Robbins' direction or Sean Penn's acting, like we're not supposed to see the monster. We're supposed to see this incredibly human person, which is fine, but is it there? Is there something there? Is there not? And I think something through messaging, you know, that is where the film gets lost a little bit, is in the messaging of, did he or didn't he do it, or does it matter? Is that what the film's even about? Trying to figure that out. So I do believe this is based on a true story. And yeah, it's interesting also to have that dynamic with Tim Robbins at the director's chair and Susan Sarandon acting, because this was back when they were actually married. So he does a great job directing her. Susan Sarandon is fantastic in this. I also think this is one of those films where probably Sean Penn should have been considered supporting. It's very obvious that the film is narratively done through Susan Sarandon's eyes, and because she has to bounce around and talk to so many other people, to, you know, other church people. She has a nun, Margot Martindale, who I didn't even know existed in 1995, just to be totally honest. I didn't pick up on her until like the mid 2000s. So having her in this film, she plays like another nun, just blew my mind. And so she's in this. So Sarandon has to bounce around between so many other people, but we're always following her. We follow her to the appeals lawyer. We follow her to the parents. We follow her to hearings. Sean Penn is just kind of in one place on death row. And we don't narratively spend a ton of time with him if Sarandon is not with him. So that kind of puts it in different perspective. Often I think of things as being, are you leader supporting based on, does the narrative structure follow you as a character or not? Like, does the camera take off with you? Are there other characters that we know through the story because you exist? Like, how much of the film that way? And the film never narratively follows Penn without Sarandon being there. So it's tough. I mean, I guess you could call maybe the flashback sequences that follows what Penn is saying, but they're still prompted by Sarandon. So it's, I don't know. Anyway, I don't think it's equal. I think this is a Susan Sarandon-led film where Sean Penn is a supporting actor, not a duality where we have a lead actor and actress. So that is my objection to the film. Also, there's no audio description. So while the film is a lot of conversations, and therefore I'm not going to say it's completely and totally unwatchable. The film becomes unwatchable because towards the end, and this is going to be depending upon what it is that you really want from Dead Man Walking, because honestly, for me, when I see a prison film like The Green Mile, the execution sequences are by far my least favorite parts of that film. There are other parts of the film that I like a lot more, and the execution sequences are not things I like watching anyway. So the fact that the most unintelligible part of this film is the execution scene is just, I don't know that I have that big of a problem with it, but I will say that it's a it's like the last part of the film, and it's a while. So basically, the film for you as a blind or visually impaired individual ends about 10 minutes before the end. And then you have 10 minutes of something of Sean Penn and going in there and dying and slowly. And I guess we watch the procedure. Maybe he life flashes before his eyes. I don't know, but at some point you do hear like sort of like on the heartbeat monitor how he flatlines. So I mean, I got what was happening because we were building up to that the whole film. I guess it's kind of a spoiler that he loses, but I don't really know that it's a spoiler, especially if it's based on a true story. So, yeah, but the last 10 minutes make me wonder whether or not I can actually grade the film, because some people would find that to be too much of the film mixed in with the other little stuff, the other stuff that you get. Like, I have a feeling that there's stuff that's told in flashback that we don't visually get. And honestly, that's, again, I'm not, it's not like I felt like I was missing, solid, description of the murder and dismemberment of the bodies and stuff. It's not like I was like, could you please tell me how these kids were killed? I need that in my life. I didn't sign up for that. This is a drama. This isn't a horror film. When I sign up for a horror film, then yeah, let's go all out. But when I sign up for, a movie about a nun trying to stop somebody's death row sentence, then I don't know that I need that. So the things that I was missing, I don't know that I was missing them. It feels very weird to say that, because I think they should be there, because I think other people would want to watch them. So that is where I'm coming from, is that I think there are other people who would be bothered by the fact that they couldn't see those things or notice them. It's just me personally, I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't, it's already like the parents kind of describe how the bodies were found. So there is a scene where you can tell it's a flashback, because they're like two kids and you can hear them talking, and then the other two guys come up and they start harassing the kids. So you can tell that it goes into like a flashback sequence. I just don't know how far it goes. Does it show the assaults and the murders and stuff? I don't know. So, but those are the biggest things that I feel like are missing from the film, and those are the two things that I didn't come here for that. That's not what gets me excited in the morning. I came here for the Susan Sarandon performance, for the Sean Penn performance. I came here to absorb that, and to absorb the conversations that these characters are having. And I mostly was able to do that. So, but at the end of the day, I can't ignore the fact that there is a large chunk of this film right at the end that is dialogue free and without audio description, It's unwatchable. And it's too high of a percentage for me to be able to give this film a grade. So, unfortunately, I think Susan Sarandon does a nice job. I think Sean Penn is fine. I hope he didn't win an Oscar for this. But if you want to nominate him, fine. I think he's fine in this. But I just, he's like worried and meditating on life and reading the Bible and stuff. And okay, it's fine performance, but Sarandon is the star here. Robbins' direction is fine. It's a somber film. This feels like the kind of film that's going to get lost through the course of time. I don't know that we're going to be talking about Dead Man Walking 30 years from now. So, I don't think anybody's talking about it now. So, Oscar films, they don't always last. But, I did want to see this one. I saw it was on Paramount Plus, so I clicked on it. But I'm going to have to go with my grade being unwatchable. And that's barely. That's a caveat. But I think the majority of the population would want to be able to get to the end of the film. And you can't really do that here. We end up stopping about 10 minutes before the end because at a certain point, it's all this... It's the whole sequence that has no dialogue. It just goes, and the film ends, and then it just goes into credits, and you just, there's no great speech at the end of this. There's nothing, she doesn't have like a wrap-up conversation with anybody. Nothing happens. So it makes it really hard to say, yeah, we should definitely take a look at this as being potentially... I got stuff out of it though, so but I can't give this a thumbs up and move it along and say, yeah, this works without audio description for my blind and visually impaired community, which is a shame because I think there are parts of it that do work. So it's really close, but that ending really just turned it for me. Oddly, without it being something I actually wanted to see. So, but we still have to know what's happening. So that's it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, click subscribe so we can continue to talk about audio description and why we need it. Because these services are they're not trying. Just quite frankly, they're really just not trying. So, I also have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can go to Twitter or Instagram and follow me at macthemovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acp.org. It'll let you know what is audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to TheADNA.org. That's TheADNA.org. And it'll let you know who is working on narration for your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. I will read something else for you guys and see you on the other side.